and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim, and with me as always is...
Mark.
Mark, how you doing today?
We have some things to discuss about certain feedback. But apart from that, pretty good.
But other than that, we also have a special guest today, Mark. Don't we?
Mm-hmm.
We do. Who's joining us, Mark?
We have Chuck the movie guy. Are you a movie guy? Is it your movie guy?
Chuck wants to be your movie guy.
Everybody's movie guy.
That's right, he is.
So Chuck is the arbiter of what a good movie is, apparently. Right?
I would like to think so.
I think he's got pretty good taste. I've enjoyed everything he's recommended so far.
Well, we'll talk about that, Jim. You brought something up which
yes.
we'll agree upon and we'll disagree with you.
That's very true. That's very true. So, Chuck, tell us a little bit about your story. How did you get started on TikTok? Because you got quite a following now, right?
I'm Chuck, and I would love to be your movie guy. I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I love horror movies, but I love all movies. Just horror is what makes my soul, I feel them.
Yep.
People have been telling me my entire life that, like, I'm the king of useless knowledge and that I should learn how to do something with it because I retain things like people don't retain things like I do. I mean, some people do, but, like, I could remember who was this bit actor, like, do you know who Luis Guzman is? He's like listen, I could tell you every movie that Luis Guzman was in, and he's never been like a top billed actor. You know, what I mean? Just dumb shit like that. Because, like, I love him. So my friends have been telling me for years, and I have this friend James from Pittsburgh, and he's my movie person. Like, he's if it's horror or some oddball foreign film subtitles, like, that's the dude I'm calling because that's who's going to go sit there and watch it with me because he loves film.
Right.
And then I don't know, I've been watching TikTok for a long time, and there's a lot of people that I love. Like, you know, I mean, obviously people know that, like, Ricky666 is my favorite, and I've been watching that dude for 6 months before I ever even made a post. And one day I made an official TikTok and said, fuck it. And I started posting. And I mean, that's literally it.
And that's all it takes, right? And I mean, you're going balls to the wall. Like, you have so much energy in all your posts. It's like, it's awesome to watch. I love it.
So Chuck, are you concerned about, like, the US now saying we might ban TikTok? Do you think that's just like...
No, I'm not scared.
Yours?
No, well, I'm not scared for a couple of reasons. One reason is I believe in myself. Mm-hmm. And I think no matter what platform I get on, I think I have something and it's going to reach people. So I started crushing Instagram right now.
Yep.
I'm trying to build that up in the meantime, just in case. But if you want my honest opinion, I think that one side is very afraid to lose the election that's coming up, and it's pandering for votes. And who wouldn't like to be the guy to tell 178 million people that I'm going to save your ass? Because that could sway an election, and that's really what I think it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, I just think it's kind of funny that they're like, oh no, this kind of foreign app is, like, collecting all this data. I'm like, so does every other social media site, whether they're the U.S. or not, and they sell your data and do everything else. So what if you're on the internet at all?
I mean, the day you bought your first Motorola flip phone back in 1996, they stole your fucking data. You know what I mean? Like, so it don't much matter.
So, Mark, you have a list of things you want to talk about.
No, Jim. I want to first talk about the feedback.
Okay.
Which I received.
Yes.
So I want people to know this is like a persona for me, right? I am not, this is just for entertainment's value. So somebody said I was like an asshole, but in a kind, friendly way, right? and I want to reiterate, this is a persona. I am not kind or friendly in real life.
Okay. Fair enough. I think it's important that you correct the misinformation. Yeah, yes, absolutely.
Yes. Thank you.
Absolutely. We can't have misinformation out there. Absolutely.
Jim, you came up with kind of a nebulous idea about.
I did.
The best horror movies ever. Like, where do you even start with that, right? And I know you provided a list, but I thought it would be more fun to kind of break it down into some subgenres. Obviously, this is not exhaustive. But I also asked my wife, Shane, who's been on the podcast before, and his fiance, Danny, their favorite movie in each of these subgenres, because I thought it would be interesting for people who aren't nerds like me,
right?
What their opinion is. So what I was going to do was say the subgenre, what they picked, my pick, and we could just discuss each subgenre for as long as we want until we get.
So this is basically like saying, how are you going to start an argument about the Changeling without saying you're going to start an argument about the Changeling?
Yes, that's exactly what's going to happen. Yep.
So incidentally, my first subgenre is ghost / paranormal /
Well, before you get too far into this, Mark, I gotta Chuck. What flavor is that?
What do I have in here?
Yeah,
it's Gentleman Jack's Brew.
Oh, never mind then. I thought it was going to be our favorite coffee.
No, it's Sinister.
Oh, is it?
But it's the Gentleman Jack's. It's like they're just a regular brand.
I thought you were drinking whiskey.
No, I don't drink.
Gotcha.
I'm not a drinker.
Fair enough.
I wish I still drank whiskey, but me and whiskey ends up in handcuffs, not me.
That's fair. Okay, Mark, let's go.
Okay, so my wife, I said, okay, just whichever one's your favorite or the first one that comes to your mind, which you can say what does greatest actually mean, right? So it's just really, I think, just your personal preference.
Right.
So I asked my wife. She said Poltergeist.
Okay.
Good choice. Fair. Shane said Insidious. Danny said Paranormal Activity. And I'm kind of split. Okay, so I suppose we should just do one, but I'm going to go with The Legend of Hell House.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's appreciated enough.
The first one?
The Legend of Hell House, yes. The original Richard Matheson.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
Movie.
So, Chuck, what is your favorite paranormal movie?
Not The Changeling.
That's fair. Mine either.
I do love it. My favorite paranormal film, probably just because I have sentimental attachment to it, is Poltergeist.
Yeah, same.
Because it stained me as a child, and that's what got me into horror actually as well. Because when me and my sister were bad, my mom would put Poltergeist on. She had it fast forwarded to the TV, Carol Ann, or the little clown, and it fucked me up as a kid.
Can you see this?
I see the clown in the back, yeah. But so I just, over the years, that's the first time I really felt fear from a horror movie.
Yeah.
And then when I was an adult, I grew into an adult, I wanted to relive that fear, and I've been chasing that feeling ever since.
Right? I don't think you ever recapture that, because I remember.
Mm-mm.
Yep.
There's 3 movies which will be on my list. Poltergeist is one of the pillars of what got me into horror as a kid.
Except, Mark, you hate the fact that Tobe Hooper gets credit for directing that movie.
Well, I was going to ask Chuck. I mean, who do you feel directed that movie in all reality?
Not Tobe Hooper. He just threw him an alley-oop. I mean, we all know that.
Yeah, apart from Jim.
Yeah.
Apart from me. So, okay, what else you got, Mark?
Yeah. So, sorry. Before we go on, I was close with Ringu for this category, which also ties into the Changeling, right? Because I believe they use that well part in the Changeling as part of their inspiration for Ringu.
Yeah. Possible. I have a found footage, but I'll keep it for found footage. But it's also paranormal.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I could use here, but because I think it's one of the scariest movies of all time. But
we'll talk about something just found footage.
Yeah, okay.
I am. Right, what else you got?
So Jim, what was your pick?
Poltergeist, of course. Okay. It is the most memorable to me. 100% about ghosts.
Yeah.
Because I watched it when I was so young, and Mark hates the fact that nostalgia plays a big part in my taste for movies. But
no, I don't hate it. I just feel like you're unfair on newer movies because you don't have nostalgia attached to them.
Well, we can agree to disagree on that, Mark.
Okay, I'm not side observer. Okay, next one up is favorite vampire movie. So my wife said Interview with a Vampire.
Ugh.
Shane said the original Nosferatu, which is a good pick. And his fiance said Dark Shadows, the Johnny Depp recent one.
Okay.
Shane.
Now, for me, I'm not a big vampire fan, but probably my favorite is Near Dark.
It's fair.
Fucking Catherine Bigelow. It's a fucking banger.
Right.
So good.
What about you, Chuck?
Listen, I have a review of Near Dark sitting in my TikTok drafts for 2 months, but I can't put it out because it's not streaming anywhere. So like, I don't want to deal with the comments of, hey, where can I get this movie? Like, go to Amazon and buy the motherfucker because it's worth it. You know what I mean? Plain and simple. I'm not a big vampire guy neither. Just because I think we have a very lack of good vampire movies. But if I'm going vampires, it's Lost Boys for me, and it's not particularly close for me. I just it's another nostalgia hit for me. Yep. But I also think that it's a brilliant film.
It's also got a great soundtrack.
It does.
Killer.
Yep. I absolutely agree, and I appreciate all the movies you mentioned, but I have to say my favorite vampire movie, hands down, is 30 Days of Night.
Banger.
They're brutal in that movie, and that's the kind of vampire I like.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
There's just such wonderful cinematography when they do that top down of the vampires running around and
exactly.
Blood in the snow.
Yep.
Just wonderful.
Danny Houston was menacing in that film.
Absolutely. Absolutely fantastic.
Okay, next one is Werewolf. My wife said her favorite werewolf movie, horror movie, is Teen Wolf.
I believe that coming from your wife.
Right. Both Shane and Danny is the same as mine, which is An American Werewolf in London. I think it's a definitive werewolf movie.
Okay, that's fair. Chuck, what about you? Greatest werewolf movie of all time?
I would love to say The Beast Within, but it's not technically a werewolf movie. But my favorite werewolf movie is a movie that I don't think gets enough praise, and I think it's underseen. And it's not American Werewolf or The Howling, because I do love The Howling as much as I love American Werewolf.
Yep.
But I love Dog Soldiers.
That is a fantastic movie.
Yeah,
Dog Soldiers is a banger.
I saw that about 2 years ago. I
always wonder, because I'm from the UK, right? How that translates to an American audience, because there's a lot of British banter in it, right? A lot of slang. And I always wonder, hey, do people understand what they're saying?
I grew up on British. I had an aunt that raised her kids from a British mind state.
Yep.
So I grew up on Monty Python, Fawlty Tower. Some of my favorite shows are British shows. I get it, but I mean, Dog Soldiers transcends. It needs to be seen by anybody that likes horror movies.
I absolutely agree. I think it's fantastic. I only saw it 2 years ago, and I still think it's a fantastic film. But if we're talking horror werewolf movies, I don't know how popular this is going to be, but I have two that are my favorite, and that's Cursed with Christina Ricci. I know it's a mess of a movie, but I absolutely love it. And
fair enough.
Big Bad Wolf with Kimberly J. Brown. It's funny, and it's just absolutely ridiculous. I love every minute of both those movies.
That's two wild picks, but I respect it.
I know.
So here's one I just want to bring up. The Beast Must Die.
I have not seen that one.
From the 70s. It's got a werewolf break in it. Where
I've seen it.
They stop the movie. They have a clock where you have to figure out, hey, who is the werewolf from this group of people? It's very much like 10 Little Indians, but a werewolf rather than a killer. And Calvin Hart's in it. It's fun. It's like a disco werewolf, Agatha Christie fun movie, which a lot of people haven't seen.
That's cool. What's up next, Mark?
Okay, so this one, this is and again, some of these ones, whenever I just bring up a subgenre, there's going to be ones where you'll be like, well, this one could work for this one, and this one could work for that one, right? Because it's very kind of gray area. But slasher movie.
No, well, we already know the answer for mine. Well,
what's your answer?
It's going to be Nightmare on Elm Street, 100%. It's one of my all-time favorite movies.
So
it's a great answer.
Yeah. So I'll say my wife said Halloween. Shane said A Nightmare on Elm Street. Danny said Texas Chainsaw Massacre. And me, It's actually like whenever I thought about it, it's probably Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3,
which is fantastic. It was a great sequel, 100%.
Agreed.
And what about you, Chuck? Favorite slasher?
I'm gonna go not run of the mill here. I like Don't Go in the House. I like The House by the Cemetery. I think they're criminally underrated slashers that don't get no kind of love. I mean, they're older films, but they're balls to the wall.
Yeah.
And I think one of the greatest slashers of all time is Rob Zombie's Halloween 2.
Fair enough, Chuck. Fair enough.
So I love it. It's so fucking brutal, man.
I'm a fan of his music. I'm not a fan of his films.
It's fair. I get it.
Yep.
I think Rob Zombie should direct movies that he doesn't write. I think that he peaked at like The Devil's Rejects, and then it's just been like Trailer Park Trash. Okay, we get it. Swearing. Okay, we get it. Okay, it's not that interesting to me.
I checked out The Devil's Rejects. I think it was The Devil's Rejects when Priscilla Stiles was naked in the motel room. I was like, I'm done. I've had enough.
But he's got a really good visual style, and he's
I don't disagree with that.
Very interesting director. I just think like some of his writing is just it's like reductive, and it's just like it's the same as everything else that he does.
Fair enough.
I don't agree, but I respect your opinion.
Oh, that's fine. I mean,
I just put out a Lords of Salem video because I think it's absolutely brilliant.
Awful.
But that's the beauty of horror, right? Is not everybody has to agree. We can all have our different opinions, and it's just great that we all appreciate so many different movies.
People really misunderstood it, especially Salem. Like people shit on that movie a lot, but people don't look at it as the love letter that it is, and it's a love letter to Fulci, Argento, Polanski. You know that is why Rob started making films.
Right.
And that's why he made that movie. So like his artistic impression, like I can appreciate him paying homage to other things. So that's why I like it.
Yep.
But other people skip over it because if you were to put any other director's name on that movie, I guarantee you people's opinions would be completely different.
Probably. I don't disagree. I tried watching it because I wanted to give him another shot, but to be honest, it just didn't grab me.
Fair enough. It's a lot of people.
Like I didn't like it, but I will say at least he tried to do something a little bit different.
Yeah, that's true.
He did.
What's next, Mark?
Okay. Next up we have, and it's going to be a different subgenre from like giant animals, right? This is going to be monster, right? So something that's not like a big animal we already know.
Oh, I know my answer.
So my wife said Cloverfield.
Okay.
Shane said Pumpkinhead.
Okay.
Johnny said Jeepers Creepers. And I'm saying The Relic.
Oh, my feeling on The Relic.
Ooh. So this is like creature that's not as big as like Godzilla.
No, it could be Godzilla because my wife
as long as
Cloverfield, and that's
as long as it's not like Cocaine Bear, essentially, right?
Right, as long as it's not like an actual animal that's just mutated or got big or just multiple of them.
Oh, we can't do mutants. Shit.
Right. It has to be its own original creation.
Okay.
Its own original creation.
Right.
So I would go way back to Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Mm-hmm. That's fair.
And newer, I think that Split with Adrian Brody is one of the most underrated creature films ever made.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Splice. That's my fault. Splice. That's what I meant. Yeah, Splice.
Yeah, that one I've seen.
So Splice was done by the guy that did Cube, right?
Yeah.
I really like Splice up until the spoiler part, right? Where he fucks it, right?
It's weird. It's fucking weird. It's the fact that the fact that they had the nuts to push it that far, I was like, you know what? At this point in time, I'm all in. Like, let's go.
It almost felt like it was like a manga, right? I can see that happening in a manga.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I mean, it's beautifully directed. That was just at that point. I'm just like, I don't believe this at this point. But
So
Jim,
Well, considering that we can't use mutant animals, I'd have to go with Cloverfield then. I absolutely love that series up until the one that takes place in space. I did not care for that one.
I was very close to picking
Cloverfield Paradox, I think it's called.
Yeah, not a fan.
Yeah, not a fan of that one. The first two were good though.
Well, there's more than that, right? I think there's like 4 of them.
Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and Cloverfield Paradox are the only 3 that I know of.
Okay.
That's all I know of too. Yeah, the John Goodman second one was the best one, I thought.
Yeah, I don't disagree. That it was fantastic.
Although, like, that's not a monster movie either, right?
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
So, what makes a monster movie for you? Whether if the monster comes out in the last 2 seconds of the movie,
doesn't matter. That's
a monster movie for you.
Yeah, sure.
I almost like monster movies that you don't see the monster because I think the fear is more imminent.
Agreed.
So the 10 Cloverfield Lane, the horror isn't the monster outside. The horror is like John Goodman inside, right? Because you think he's nuts, and that's where all the tension is. It's not about the monster. Like, it's the last 2 minutes where the
but that's why they're in the situation in the first place.
Yeah.
Like you can't do the character study or tap into the fear if they weren't locked in that bunker from the events that happened prior to that.
Right.
So in essence, the monster sets up the whole tone of the whole movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So I still don't consider it a monster movie. I think the monster is the thing that makes whatever happens happen, right? But I don't consider it a monster movie because you don't see the monster, right? And I think you have to have that in a monster movie. Anyway,
well, I'll give you another one then. 2016's Colossal was a ton of fun.
I haven't seen it.
It's Anne Hathaway. It's more of a monster movie comedy, but it was great.
I haven't seen it either.
So when she goes to sleep, she takes control of this kaiju over in Japan.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what it is. I've never seen it though.
It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it.
So another good one that we both watched in recently-ish is The Ritual.
That's more folk horror to me, though. I wouldn't consider that a monster movie.
That is most definitely a monster movie.
I disagree.
The Ritual's more a monster movie than maybe 10 Cloverfield Lane. But another creature feature that I love that I think is criminally underrated is Splinter.
Mm-hmm.
I have not seen that one.
Splinter is great.
When they're stuck at the gas station, it's so fucking good.
I saw somebody.
It's very kind of like The Thing. It's very like Carpenter-esque.
Yeah,
it is.
So what's up next, Mark?
Okay. Okay. This one's a little easier. Possession movie.
Oh God, that's easy.
So my wife said The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Shane said The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Danny said Ouija, which I haven't seen the first one. I've seen the second one. I don't know.
The second one's better than the first, anyway.
Because it's Mike Flanagan, I think, is the second one. For me, it's Exorcist 3.
It's fair. I know how much you love that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I love The Exorcist 3 with my whole heart.
Who doesn't? It's a fantastic movie.
It's a fantastic fucking movie.
Yep.
Have you seen The Ninth Configuration?
No, I have not. Is it good? Apparently, because you brought it up.
It's not good, Chuck. It's not at all.
Shut up, Jim. Shut up. So it's the first movie that William Peter Blatty directed, and he also wrote it, right? So The Ninth Configuration is the sequel to The Exorcist because it has one character that's a minor character in the first one who is the main character in this movie, right? So you remember in the original Exorcist, whenever they're having that like dinner party and the priest is playing the piano and Reagan comes downstairs and she looks at this one guy and says, "You're going to die up there," because he's an astronaut.
Yep.
And then she like pees herself, right? That astronaut is the main character of The Ninth Configuration, and it is not a horror movie, but it's very much like The Exorcist 3, where there's lots of back and forth banter. If you look it up, you'll see there's so many like genre legends in it, like it'll blow your mind.
I'll check it out.
Yep, nice configuration.
So, given your appreciation, Chuck, for not mainstream films, I think you might appreciate it more than I did. I did not enjoy it at all.
It's like the main guy that is the astronaut is Scott Wilson, right? Who was, what's his name in Exorcist 3? He was the doctor that killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. He's also in The Walking Dead as the old guy.
Okay. What you got next,
on
Mark?
The list?
What's up next?
Well, no, you're supposed to answer your possession answer. You didn't answer.
It's The Exorcist. There's no question. It's a seminal movie. You can't beat it.
Plain and simple.
Except The Exorcist 3. Okay, Home Invasion. This is a fun one.
As long as it's not The Strangers.
So my wife said Funny Games.
Okay.
Shane said The Strangers. Danny couldn't think of one. For me, it's the French movie Inside.
I love Inside.
Chuck?
Home Invasion is one of my favorite genres, and there's a lot of them. I think the greatest, and I don't know if I'm going to use it as my answer, but I think the greatest home invasion film ever made is The Strangers, and it's not fucking close. But I don't know if that's my pick because I am very prone to funny games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to choose Kidnapped. It's a Spanish flick.
Yep.
Seen that one.
And it goes fucking hard, man. Like it's just a brutal. It makes you look at your doors and locks in a really, really, really weird way. I love it.
I saw that a number of years ago. I thought it was good, but it never really left a big impression on me for whatever reason.
Right.
I just don't know. Maybe I wasn't in the mood for it, but
so let me ask a qualifying question, Mark, before I give my answer. Does it have to all take place in a home?
Well, why don't you tell me what you're thinking about it?
I'm thinking about Intensity because I'm thinking about Intensity because it was one of the first home invasion films I saw, and it was fantastic because, it doesn't continue in the home. Like it goes elsewhere.
So I have another. So I'll just let you know I have another subcategory of serial killer. So I don't know if you want to put that.
No, I have another serial killer. We're good.
Okay, so you want to do?
I'm going to go with Intensity. Intensity is my favorite home invasion movie.
So Intensity or High Tension?
Intensity, not High Tension.
Right. Chuck, have you seen?
I do love High Tension.
What?
I have not seen Intensity, but I'm going to watch it.
So it was a made-for-TV movie based on the Dean Koontz book, and it was absolutely fantastic.
Okay.
And basically, Alexandre Aja took the whole plot and made High Tension from it.
Right. It's essentially the same movie.
Okay. I'm not a High Tension fan, so.
It's not as brutal as High Tension.
No, High Tension
because it's made for TV.
High Tension's really good, apart from the twist, which I just think ruins the movie.
No, I like it, but when it comes to French extreme films, I think it's highly overrated. That's just my opinion.
That's fair.
I think it's fine. Okay. The next one is, I don't know how to put this. The most dangerous game where humans are hunting other humans for fun or sport.
Oh, that's easy.
So my wife said, Ready or Not.
Okay.
It's a great fun movie.
It's fun.
Yep. Shane said, The Most Dangerous Game. You could think about it. And Danny said Saw. To me, my favorite is Battle Royale.
Okay.
Which is kind of the same sort of type of thing.
Fair enough. Chuck?
Is it?
Well,
I love Battle Royale, but I wouldn't think of it as a humans hunting humans kind of thing.
They do though, but they're forced. Yeah.
I mean, they're forced at each other. Yeah, I that's a nice segue into it. I'll buy that. I'm convinced. I'll buy that because it's such a fucking great movie.
Yeah, it's almost like yeah. Go ahead.
It's not necessarily a horror movie, but it could be a horror movie for today. But my favorite humans hunting humans movie of all time, and this is really dumb, but it's Surviving the Game with Ice-T.
I don't know that one. I have to look that up.
It's this. He's a homeless guy, and Gary Busey and his rich friends pick him up off the streets, dress him up, take him to a cabin, let him know, they release him into the woods, and they fucking hunt him, and it's a badass flick.
Sounds good.
I love it. So it could be. It's as much of a horror movie as Battle Royale is.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think if there's humans hunting other humans, sport or fun, that's horrific.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, it goes hard.
I just posted about.
It's kind of realistic too. So some of these ones are.
I just posted about the movie I'm going to mention right now, because it is my favorite humans hunting humans movie is The Hunt.
Right.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. The other one I would mention would be The Furies. That was another fantastic film.
Yep, like that one.
It was.
Yep.
Furies is great. I wasn't big on The Hunt.
No,
I don't. Do you know why? And the reason that you love it is the reason that it doesn't rub me right. Because like if you can put your political opinion in a film in a convoluted manner without being so brash about it.
Yep.
But whenever it feels brash and pushy, it's hard for me to accept from either side of the aisle. And I felt that it was real pushy.
And see, I had that feeling when I first saw The Hunt in theaters. Like I hated the movie for the first like 75% of the movie, and then that final fight scene with Hilary Swank and Betty Gilpin, I was like, okay, so they're just fucking everybody. It was fantastic. Like
right. No, I could see that. I could see that.
Once I understood that, I was all in.
So I totally agree with that, but I think there's some things where if you just like the concept overall, you can kind of ignore some of that because some of it is this one side or other. Like I'm an atheist, but I enjoy Exorcist 3.
Right.
But I think maybe whenever that movie came out, just because it's so like politically crazy right now in the U.S.,
right,
it was just maybe very polarizing.
It's like that movie Nefarious. Like it's a great premise and a great idea for a movie, but it's full of fucking right wing jargon and it's too much. It's just too fucking much.
And that's totally fair. You just posted a review about Nefarious the other day, right, Chuck?
No, I'm not touching that because I don't want to get into political arguments on TikTok.
Somebody just posted about it and they brought up that exact same point. So I was like, well, that's why I'm avoiding it. But
yeah, I mean, I get it was a great performance.
Yeah,
it's a great idea. It just they just wouldn't stop. You know what I mean? Like it was just too fucking much.
Yeah, I agree. I can totally understand that point.
Okay, moving on, and here's a nice big subgenre. So you got plenty to pick from. Sci-fi horror.
Sci-fi horror? Oh, that's easy.
So my wife said Event Horizon. Shane said Event Horizon. Downey said The Fourth Kind. It's kind of out there pick, but I can't.
Chuck hasn't watched The Fourth Kind yet.
Damn.
We haven't seen what?
The Fourth Kind has now blossomed into my unicorn because I have a list of DMs this long of people that message me every day to tell me to watch The Fourth Kind. So now I'm like stubbornly not watching it on purpose, but I'm eventually going to have to watch it.
So the thing for me that I kind of like the sort of alien abduction thing, but I don't think any of these horror movies or any alien abduction movie has a good ending, like a satisfying ending. I think they don't know what to do with the ending. So that's fine.
Well, see, but that's so I don't want to ruin it, so I won't talk about The Fourth Kind, but it is a fantastic film, I think.
It's good. It's good. I mean, it's not the best movie ever.
So what's his pick?
My pick?
No, Mark's his pick.
Oh, Mark.
My pick is John Carpenter's The Thing.
It's fair.
I mean, it's a fucking flawless masterpiece.
It is. Absolutely. Chuck, what about you? What's your favorite sci-fi flick?
I mean, I don't want to piggyback off Mark, but I love The Thing with all my heart.
Yeah.
But it would be, I mean, if The Thing didn't exist, it would be easy to just go to Alien.
Yeah.
If Alien didn't exist, I mean, there's been a couple like real juggernauts, but yeah, I'm not gonna budge off The Thing. It's The Thing.
Yep.
So for me, my favorite sci-fi flick is going to be Alien.
Yeah.
100%. Or there's a lesser known movie that was really good called Pod.
I've never seen Pod.
I thought it was fantastic. It's about a guy and his brother in a cabin in the woods, and they find a pod in their basement. It's really great.
Yeah, Interesting.
I'll check it out.
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is slightly different again. Whenever I talked about the monster subgenre, so this is giant animal or an animal related horror movie. My wife said Jaws. Shane said Anaconda. Danny said Arachnophobia, and obviously for me it's Jaws. That's one of those three pillars.
It's tough to answer second or third after something like Jaws. You know what I mean? It's like I don't want to just be different because the answer is fucking Jaws.
That's fair.
It just don't get any better than that.
So I do love Jaws. You already know that. However, my pick for my favorite mutant monster is going to be The Prophecy from 1979. Because that scene with Talia Shire giving that mutant bear back her dead baby, I cried.
No, so
that's a good fucking pick, man.
Yeah.
So the Prophecy has the most low key, terrifying scene in it.
Which one is that?
And the movie doesn't like make it like a big deal or anything. It's just the character experience.
Yeah.
And it's when the guy goes down there and his wife's pregnant, right? And they've been drinking the water, and he figures out it's the water that will mutate his own unborn kid. But he's like crying and wailing to the sky. It's just revealed like that, and he's just like, "This is real life. Like this is terrible."
Absolutely.
But I'll also say, like my two favorite Jaws clones, I guess you'd say, are both written by John Sayles, and it's Alligator and the original Piranha.
Those are both great.
I like Alligator.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just rewatched that again when it came out on 4K last year.
Did you?
And just remembered how much, like, cause it's good but forgotten about. It's not talked about enough.
That's very true. Because I think we watched that once when I was a kid. Because my mom always tried to tell me that there were alligators in the sewer.
Alligator is very dark, but it's like a comedy at the same time. Because like the plot point is that there's a company who's trying to come up with like medical shit, and they're experimenting on dogs.
Right.
They have a scene where like the main guy goes in and like it's very quiet in here. It's like, yeah, because we cut their vocal cords so we don't have to listen to them while we're experimenting on them.
Right.
And that's what the alligator called Ramon, who's at the start of the movie, who was flushed down a toilet,
right.
Ends up eating, and then that's why it grows so big. But
fair enough.
It's dark but funny, entertaining.
Yep. What do you got next, Mark?
Okay, so another huge genre. You can just pick whatever you want. Horror comedy.
Oh, that's going to be rough.
So my wife said Brain Damage because I've been educating her in horror movies and like all hail Helen Lauder. Brain Damage is amazing. Stephen said Repossessed. Fair enough. Although I think that's comedy horror. Danny said Scary Movie again, which I think is more comedy horror, but whatever. But mine, I think it stands over and above. There's some like I think the 80s were the greatest decade for comedy horror, and it could have been Evil Dead 2, but I'm going with Return of the Living Dead.
Okay, it's fair.
It's a great pick.
It is.
Evil Dead 2 is a great pick too.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's so many great ones like Reanimator and like I think the 80s was just awash with like great comedy horror.
It was.
Well, they didn't have anything censor in them. So they could just make anything they wanted. I think my favorite horror comedy of all time is Shaun of the Dead.
That's fair. I love that movie.
Yeah, that's brilliant. Yeah, I really, really love it a lot.
Yeah. Horror comedy. So it's God, that's so hard. So it's probably going to be Dead Alive.
Oh yeah.
I think it's absolutely fantastic. It's my favorite horror comedy. The scene where in the unedited in the director's cut or whatever, where they pull the German Shepherd pelt out of the mother's throat, I couldn't stop laughing. It was absolutely fantastic.
It's from the get-go, right, with Peter Jackson at the start.
Yeah.
And it's like Singaya, because he got bit on like his arm and like cut his arm off. And then had him Singaya on his left. And then it's on it. And it's just like, that's just so funny.
The entire movie is just fantastic.
It really is.
Okay, so body horror.
Body horror.
My wife said teeth.
Okay.
I love teeth.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shane said thinner, which I get.
Okay.
Danny said cabin fever. Yep.
Okay.
For me, it has to be Cronenberg. And I was going back and forth between Videodrome, Existence, but I think I'll probably go with it Fly. I think that's the most overtly body horror of Cronenberg.
Yeah, I don't disagree.
It's really hard to pick a body horror film and not pick Cronenberg, but I'm going to.
Okay.
I think, and it's not that recent, but I think it's fucking masterful, and I'm gonna pick Julia Ducournau's Titan.
Right.
I have not seen that yet. You're the second person that I've heard talk about it. And I want to watch it.
It's a body horror masterpiece, and I think it's. And this is a bold fucking statement because The Fly is an absolute classic of a film,
absolutely.
But it's every fucking bit as good as that movie.
Yeah,
like it's brilliant.
I was close to saying Tetsuo.
I love that as well
because I think that is almost the definition of body horror. But although he stole some stuff from Cronenberg, but that whole movie is about body horror, right?
So bizarre.
I started it for whatever reason. I never finished it. I have to go back to it.
And I would agree with you, Mark. The Fly would probably be my number one pick. Not gonna lie, it's probably the most standout in my mind for body horror.
It's the quintessential body horror.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, by standards, yeah, I agree.
He's got his penis in a jar.
That's true. He does.
He does.
Yes, he has a penis in a jar.
But it was also done at a time that nobody had really seen any kind of transformation that was like that fucking horrific. So like that really caught people by like super duper surprise.
Absolutely.
To go that hard.
So here's a question for you, for Chuck and Jim. So a lot of people say The Thing, but I don't see The Thing as body horror.
I don't neither.
Yeah, I wouldn't either.
Because I feel body horror is a degradation of your own body through something, and not you being killed and then being replicated into something weird.
Okay, so since you brought that up, let me ask you a question. Would you consider Bug body horror?
Absolutely.
So that would be another one that I would pick. Because I thought it was fantastic. Ashley Judd was amazing in that film.
So then you get into like psychological self-harm. And I think that definitely fits into body horror.
I think Bug's more of a psychological horror than it is about the actual thing inside them.
Right, absolutely. I don't disagree, but I still think
Bug is a brilliant fucking movie.
It really is. I don't think it gets enough attention.
No, it doesn't.
Bug is almost more of like how can one person twist somebody else's mind and do it?
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
It's almost like a cult movie, but there's only people.
And it's another testament to the brilliance of Michael Shannon.
Yep.
Right? And it's William Friedkin, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
It was.
Okay.
What do we got next, Mark?
Next up, here's a fun topic. Best of the worst.
Best of the worst.
What is your favorite bad movie that you still find entertaining?
I already got the answer.
So my wife said Troll 2, which is most of the standard, I think, in horror bad movies.
Yeah.
Shane said Tremors, which I don't.
I just bought that box set with all 7 movies.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad movie. I think it's supposed to be campy, so I kind of disagree with that. So, Jim, are you ready for this? Are you sitting down? I see you're sitting down.
I am sitting down, Mark.
I said the best of the worst is The Meg.
I don't think The Meg was bad at all. I thought it was a fun monster movie.
So for me, the best of the worst has to be entertaining. The Meg was just fucking boring.
I disagree. But The Meg 2 was.
So my choice is Silent Night, Deadly Night 2. The movie that's so great.
Yep.
That the first movie was decent, but you don't even have to watch it because most of the second one is the first one. But then we have Eric Freeman with his eyebrows and his weird talking and everything else, and people being killed by umbrellas, and it's just so funny.
It is. It is absolutely funny. Chuck, your best of the worst pick?
My favorite movie that I think's a shitty horror movie that I absolutely love is Phantom of the Mall: Eric's Revenge.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that is a fantastic film. I just watched that last year.
Which actually now, all these years later, it's actually transcended into like a good movie.
Yeah.
But like at the time, it's a shitty movie, but
yeah,
it's
absolutely.
great.
I think you have to like separate like movies that are genuinely trying to be good, right?
Right.
They're genuinely like the people behind them are really trying to make a good movie. They think it's a good movie compared to what the Sci-Fi Channel ended up being, which is like Sharknado, right? Oh, because it's so ludicrous. Oh, it's funny. Haha. Okay, well that's kind of different, right? You have to genuinely be trying to make a good movie, and it's terrible. And there's where the comedy is about it.
Right.
So
it's like Ed Wood, right? He was honestly trying to make the best movie he could make.
Yep. So I will be honest, my pick, I don't think it was intended to be bad at all. And it's only in watching it now or in more recent times that I realize just how terrible it is. But I still love it with all my heart, is One Dark Night.
I don't think I've seen it.
It's Meg Tilly. And there are so many tonal flips in that movie that it's absolutely ridiculous. It starts with a serial killer that is also a Satanist performing black magic to live forever, and then she's getting bullied by kids in her classroom and gets, locked in this mausoleum overnight, and then it turns into a supernatural horror. So it's utterly ridiculous, but I absolutely love the movie.
1982.
Yeah.
Okay, I just looked it up to put a star by it to put on my list.
Yeah, absolutely. So funny story about that. It's the first movie I ever rented from Netflix back when they sent out DVDs.
Oh wow, it's pretty cool. The days of DVDs coming in your mail, huh?
Exactly.
God, you're old.
I am. So are you.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so next up is Zombie Movie. So I was a little kind with, some of the picks that I got because my wife said 28 Days Later.
Yeah.
The Zombie Movie, but I'll let it slide because you're my wife and I don't want to hear it.
That's fair.
Stains was like one of the worst Romero movies. Land of the Dead.
Okay.
Danny Adams. Oh, she had the Dawn of the Dead remake.
Okay.
Which is good.
Okay.
And my pick, it was in between. I already picked Return of the Living Dead for the horror comedy, so I didn't want to pick that one again. So it's going to be Day of the Dead, which was close with Night of the Living Dead.
Okay, fair enough. Chuck?
I will preface this statement with I understand the importance of Night of the Living Dead and what an important cultural impact it had, not only as a zombie film, but its social commentary.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the greatest technical achievement and best zombie movie ever made is The Train to Busan.
Oh, it's great. Yeah.
Sure. That's fair.
Yeah, I just love it from an emotional and a visceral level. Like, I just think it's fucking brilliant.
I have not seen it yet, but funny story is a friend of mine was proposed to during that movie.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Right?
No, that's
weird.
Have you seen Peninsula?
I have.
I've heard that's not very good.
It after the impact of the first one, there's nothing that they could make to do it. Like, it's like if Busan didn't exist, it would be an okay movie. But since Busan exists, it's just even worse.
Have you seen The Sadness?
I think The Sadness is good but overrated.
You think so?
I mean, I like it. I think it gets too much hype. I like The Wailing better.
Have you? So The Sadness. I don't know if you read like comic books or anything for like that sort of nerd. But there is a series called Crossed, which is very much The Sadness. It's like
Okay.
Walking Dead, but worse, much worse, where they're raping.
Right.
Whatever. Okay. Next
You
up.
want to hear my pick, Mark?
Oh shit. Yes, I guess so.
I mean, I know you don't like my opinions, but do you want to hear it anyway?
Well, I suppose so.
So I would have to go 28 Days Later.
That's not a zombie movie, Jim.
Yes, it is. It is technically a zombie movie.
It's not,
even though it's a rage virus, I still consider it a zombie movie.
Technically, it's not a zombie movie, Jim.
I disagree.
You have to be dead and reanimated to be a zombie, correct?
Why?
Because that's the definition of a zombie.
Parasites take over your body while you're still alive. Why do you have to be dead to be a zombie?
So, Chuck,
you want to settle a debate?
Is 20 Days Later a zombie movie, yes or no?
Can I plead the fifth here?
No.
Yep.
I think 28 Days Later is every bit a zombie movie as The Sadness.
Right.
I don't know the comparison.
Which isn't a zombie movie either.
It's classified as a zombie movie.
Yes, agreed.
I mean, if anywhere you look it up at, it says zombie underneath it.
Yep. Technically,
but I understand what you're saying about being dead, coming back to life. Like This is more like 28 Days Later is more like an infected movie.
Right. And I get that.
Because the people eventually die from the infection, and they don't get to walk around.
So if they have to die first, I'm going to go with the first Resident Evil. I thought it was a fantastic movie.
Wow, I'm stunned.
It's your first time on, Chuck, so
yeah,
I'm rendered speechless at the moment.
I made Chuck speechless. That's not
a
good thing, right?
that's a hot take.
Yeah, it is.
I fuck with it. I respect it. That's cool. That should have been your answer for the last set of questioning.
Well, fair enough. I actually really enjoyed the first Resident Evil.
I mean,
it's okay.
Yeah.
So the game is much better. The movie is just okay. The series evolves into like absolute nonsense. But like if I'm talking about like seminal greatest zombie movies, it's nowhere near any.
I cannot stand slow zombies. They are not at all scary to me. So I need some sort of brain function where they can either plan or come at me like a fucking freight train.
Return of the Living Dead
is a comedy. It's not scary.
No, it's a zombie. See what I have to put up with, Chuck. So it is a zombie movie. It's a quintessential zombie movie. Whether it's got comedy elements or not doesn't make any difference to whether it's a zombie movie.
If you're looking for fast, ruthless zombies, then you need to get a ticket to the train to Busan, because if that's what you're looking for, that movie's going to blow your fucking mind.
I totally get that. I don't know why I have not seen it yet. I really have not even been avoiding it. So
the two things with Train to Busan, right? So we have the fast, violent, kind of smart zombies, right? They're not super smart, but you also have the confinement of the train.
Yep,
it's claustrophobic,
and that was like the best part of Alien, right? Was the claustrophobia, which they destroyed in Covenant, but that's a whole nother conversation. That makes it a good movie, is because you have that feeling of being penned in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay, moving on. Let's see. We did zombie. Okay, so Chuck, I'm interested in your take on this one because we kind of talked about it before. But I'll go with the answers we have already. So this is found footage. My wife went with Hell House. Shane went with Quarantine.
Okay.
Danny went with Hell House. And I didn't want to blur the lines with Cannibal Holocaust, so I just went with kind of the other OG, which is Blair Witch Project.
Ugh, I love that pick.
Okay,
I love the Blair Witch Project with my whole heart. Yep. It's the best marketing in film history.
And that's exactly why I hate it. Is because I was totally duped. I live in Pittsburgh, and those flyers made it to our city. Like they were on telephone poles. They drove around the
And they put that shit everywhere. Like that,
Right.
like that shit was like fucking real. But
Mm-hmm.
it's still not my pick.
Mine
And
either.
I love it.
So
I like the
your
second
pick?
one much better than the first one.
What did you say?
That's another hot pick. He said he likes the second one
I
better
like
than the
Book of
first.
Shadows much better than the first
I
one.
don't actually mind the newest one.
No, the newest one was okay.
The newest one was all right.
The game was fantastic.
The game is fantastic.
Yeah, the game is awesome.
Agreed. My found footage is a tie. As of recently, up until like a month ago, it would be Gonjiam Haunted Asylum.
Yep.
Because I think it's fucking fantastic.
Yep.
I feel like I know what you're going to say.
There's a film called Reel.
Oh, okay.
REEL. And it might be the most brilliant found footage movie since the Blair Witch Project, because it's about this guy. Do you want to know what it is? Because you look puzzled. Do you want me to tell you what it is?
Yep.
Heard of this one.
Yeah, I've not heard of it.
You've heard of it?
No, I haven't.
Or you have? Reel is made by a guy named Slasher Victim 666.
Okay.
He is an up-and-coming filmmaker that wants to pay homage to horror films and found footage movies before him. So they do a lot of, The Last Broadcast is mentioned in it, The Tunnel, Wreck. But what he does is he finds this YouTuber who has a similar thing. He wants to make like the greatest horror film. Okay. So he becomes a fan of this guy, and Slasher Victim sends this dude this high-grade camera so he can like make his movie, but like as a fan. But little does this dude know that he's making a movie and recording footage for the movie that he's actually in that the other guy is making. So you get a found footage perspective from two different characters with two different cameras. One thinks he's making a movie. The other one's really making a movie. Right. And when it climaxes to him putting it all together for the 22-minute brutal crescendo at the end, right? There is nothing I've seen like it. Like it's rough watch, but it's brilliant.
So it almost sounds a little bit like Creep. You've seen Creep? Yeah.
I have seen Creep. I have seen Creep, and I love Creep and Creep 2, and that's like a similar premise.
Right.
Yeah. I just think Reel's a completely way better film.
Okay. Awesome. I'll have to check it out.
I am not a huge found footage fan, so I'm sure my pick is not going to be widely accepted. But it's Deadstream. I thought that was fantastic.
I love Deadstream.
I thought it was great.
I thought
you could have picked
I thought Grave Encounters did that better.
I can honestly say
I like Grave Encounters.
Yeah, Grave Encounters.
A lot of people compare Grave Encounters and Gonjiam together.
Yeah.
Which makes sense, but I just thought what Grave Encounters did was like lampooning the whole Ghost Adventures thing to an absolute T.
Absolutely.
But like the taking of Deborah Logan, that's another great.
I love that movie. I don't know.
It's so good.
I don't know why for whatever reason, and I know technically it is a found footage movie, I never put it in that category.
So
I never did, because I fucking love it.
So there's like handheld, and then there's found footage, right? So found footage is very specific. People have found the footage, and then they're replaying it, like the tapes and the Witch Project and all that sort of stuff. And then there's more like the mockumentary type thing, or just the handheld thing, right? And they all blur that line where found footage is kind of like the umbrella.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Is extreme horror movies.
How do you define an extreme horror movie?
So my wife said Human Centipede 2, which is
okay.
Because I've shown her a lot.
But I mean, couldn't that be technically just body horror?
Well, again, it's a gray area, right? So it could be a sci-fi plus extreme or whatever, right? This is just the first thing that comes to your head whenever you hear that subgenre, and you're like, okay, well, this is my go-to, or this is something which I want to talk about. So Shane said Slither.
Okay.
Which is not really, but Danny said House of 1,000 Corpses.
Okay.
And for me, It's like I want to talk about a Serbian film, but like everybody talks about a Serbian film.
Yeah, everybody talks about the
I'd
Serbian
rather
film.
talk about like Cat 3, Hong Kong, Anthony Wong, The Untold Story, something like that instead.
So
Chuck,
that's your
are you familiar with Category 3?
No, but I'm going to watch it tonight.
So Anthony Wong is an absolute legend. Look up Category. So Category 3 is the Hong Kong version of X-Rated, and they made a bunch of like out there extreme movies. He was also in the Ebola Syndrome.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So the Untold Story is apparently based on a true story, but it's really graphic.
Okay.
He's just insane in it, and he's fantastic.
Does it have a plot?
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm in.
Yep.
That's one I haven't heard of.
There you go.
I think I've covered most of them.
Yeah, because you do watch some disturbing stuff for sure.
Oh yeah, I go for the good stuff.
He does. So what's your favorite extreme horror, Chuck?
Not a Serbian film,
obviously.
Yeah, I hate it.
They're talking about it in the chat right now. How you don't care for that movie.
Yeah, I can't fucking stand it. Disturbing for you. I mean, are we talking this? Are we talking? Let's clarify. Are we talking just because Human Centipede? You know, if you Google the most disturbing films ever made, it's Serbian film, it's Solo, it's Human Centipede, it's Cannibal Holocaust. I mean, that's like your big 4 and 5 there,
right?
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't think are as disturbing as half the shit that I've watched. But
I would agree with that.
Are we talking disturbing from like a visual perspective, or are we talking about the stain that it left on your soul?
So it's like, and again, this is just horror movies because for me, I think the most disturbing movies that I've watched are like documentaries. This is real life. So just within the horror realm, like what is a movie if you had the in-laws around or whatever, you would never put on because they'd be like, oh my God, you're fucked up. I really like it. For whatever reason, like I said, I like the Serbian film, but I mean, I'm not like that. But I like it for certain other things.
Yep.
Fair enough. So I can't use a documentary.
Right.
Because I would use a documentary.
Yeah,
right.
But we're going to do documentaries, aren't we?
We can do it. I don't have that as one that we can that I've written down, but we can definitely.
Well, we can bring that up. Absolutely.
So if we're doing disturbing and it's a horror film,
yep.
And there's so many. But you took documentary. I'll wait out from under my feet, and that's my tops of my list.
Yeah, absolutely.
Probably. What's yours, Jim? While I'm thinking.
So the most extreme movie that I've seen to date is probably going to be pretty tame comparatively. Would be Martyrs.
I love Martyrs.
I think it's a great film, but it was very hard to get through parts of that movie for me.
Yeah, Martyrs, Frontiers, Calvaire, they're all, I mean, they all go hard.
Yep.
Audition, Inside, all them French movies go fucking hard. Well, Audition's not French, but I haven't seen I don't know if a lot of them are like I'm trying to think like disturbing just horror.
Right.
That would be categorized as horror because a lot of the stuff that because I don't think a Serbian film's a horror movie.
Oh, it is.
So if we were
how is it a horror movie?
Okay, so we have
that's no, but I'm saying that's as much of a horror. Like I was going to say Zero Day, because I think that's as much of a horror movie as Zero Day is.
So I think whenever we get down to talking about what genre is something in, that's also subjective, right? I mean, people talk about Silence of the Lambs. Oh, that's not horror. Or Jaws. That's not horror. But
right.
I think they are because that's how it affected me personally, right?
Yeah, right.
So it's open to your own interpretation.
So
I
was going to say
the most horrific movie that I've ever sat through in my entire life is Zero Day.
Zero Day. Okay.
And Zero Day is a found footage film about an incident that happens at a school, and it takes you through these two kids' life.
Yeah.
And it is very real. the last 22 minutes are from the security cameras of the school, and that movie, being a father of a 12 and 9-year-old, that movie fucked me up. Like,
understandable.
It really, really fucked me up. Like, that was disturbing to me.
Yeah, absolutely. Mark?
Okay. Like, making the movie a little lighter. Serial killers. Right.
Serial
so
killer?
I'm going to say it's a little different than slasher to me.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, I wouldn't consider Jason Voorhees or whatever serial killer in this kind of like way. So
Right.
I'll just go through what some people said. So my wife said Maniac, the remake, which I really like.
Elijah Wood, yeah.
Yep. Shane said Seven. Yep.
Okay.
Danny said House of a Thousand Corpses.
Okay.
Or sorry, Zodiac. Sorry, that was the last one. And for me, it's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
I knew that was coming.
I knew you were going to pick Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer.
I did too. That's the first thing that comes to mind for him.
I mean, it's the quintessential serial killer movie. And it's a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
I would probably pick. I just watched this recently, but I just watched The Golden Glove, and I thought it was fantastic.
Okay.
It's really good.
The Golden Glove, to me.
Have you seen it?
Oh yeah. The German movie, yeah. It's up there. It's up there with like to me like the New York Ripper, where it's just like
I like that too.
Like a gross movie that you want to like take a shower after.
It's a dirty film.
Mm-hmm.
But I would, if I'm gonna, my favorite serial killer film of all time is Angst.
Is what?
Okay, that's fair.
Angst. Angst. Angst.
Angst.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm from Europe, so.
No, it's okay. Yeah, Angst.
So I've heard about Angst for a long time, right? And I heard it was super disturbing and everything else. And I thought it was going to be like super serious and disturbing. But I found a lot of it was comedic.
I did as well, but I just loved the like first person perspective of the way that it was, because it was a deep dive into the mind.
Have you seen Man Bites Dog?
Yes.
So that reminded me of Man Bites Dog. Or Man Bites Dog reminded me of...
I think it's similar. I like Man Bites Dog.
Yep. I haven't seen that, so I can't say. So
it's one of the first kind of like found footage stuff.
It's Shane Meadows. Right?
No. Man Bites Dog is a Belgian movie.
Yeah, no, I've seen. Okay, I don't know why I associated it with Shane Meadows.
No, you're thinking Shane Meadows is
Dead Man's Shoes.
Dead Man's Shoes, yes, which is excellent too.
It is excellent. Yes.
Look up Man Bites Dog if you haven't seen it.
So for my serial killer movies, I have two, and one of them's going to be, I'm sure, a hot take. But Frailty is one of my favorite serial killer movies with Matthew McConaughey.
I love that movie.
Yep. And then Voices with Ryan Reynolds is fantastic.
Love seeing it.
It's a horror comedy. It's a horror comedy, and it was great. Like the whole movie, it's just fun.
I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up we have another very big genre, and this is just like your favorite non-English speaking horror movie. So foreign, right?
Okay.
But non-English, so it can't be like from England or Australia or whatever. So it has to be in a non-English language. So my wife's pick was I Saw the Devil.
Okay.
Which I love. Shane and Danny's was like the La Llorona or whatever. I don't know what he was saying.
La Llorona?
Yeah. And to me, it's Martyrs, because Martyrs is my favorite horror movie of all time.
Okay.
Is it really?
It is.
Yep.
I think it's...
I love it. I love that for a pick.
I think it's a perfect horror movie.
That's a wonderful pick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I respect the fuck out of that. Out of all the horror movies that have ever been made for because like people love Martyrs, but I've never heard anybody say it's my favorite horror movie of all time. And I can respect the fuck out of that because Martyrs goes hard.
Yep, it does.
Martyrs does what few movies do, right? So what it does is it takes you on several right turns, right? So you think, well, hang on, is this like a torture movie? Oh, well, no, this is like a ghost movie. Well, no, this is like a home invasion movie. Oh, well, maybe it's like a torture movie again. But maybe it's like something else, and it's something more kind of like thought provoking, and it leaves you with an ambiguous ending. So
and it does it all very well.
Yeah, it does. It really does.
Perfectly directed. And yeah, that's why it's my favorite horror movie.
It even spawned a dog shit remake.
Yeah, I refuse to watch it.
Which I haven't seen. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. What topic are we on now, Mark?
We
non-English.
Non-English.
Okay. So Chuck?
Non-English, probably horror movie. So Yin's got. Do you consider Seven a horror movie?
Yeah, it could be.
So if we're gonna take Seven as a horror movie, my favorite non-English speaking horror movie would be The Treatment. It's a Belgian movie.
I love The Treatment.
And it's fucking phenomenal. It's better. Yeah, I compare it to people. I say, if you like Prisoners, here's a movie that's 10 times better than Prisoners.
Have not
because
seen
it
it
is.
So the author is Irish, right? And it was a woman called Mo Hader. And then they made this Belgian movie from her book. And I remember just stumbling across it like just randomly. And it was on Amazon Prime.
Yep.
And it was
That's how I found it.
And it was PG-13. Like, you know, they have the ratings up there. And I'm watching it and I'm like, how the fuck are you rating this PG-13? This is like
it's not
shit.
It's not anymore. It's not PG-13 anymore.
They've changed that, I love The Treatment.
I found it on some list, like when I was like, because like I'll go through lists that like find shit or get on a Reddit feed or whatever.
Yep.
And it just popped up, and I read the synopsis, and I watched it one night, and I was fucking blown away by that movie.
That's fair.
Plus, it's got one of the best downbeat endings.
It does. I think it's like, it could be on my list for perfect films of all. You know what I mean? Like there's not many films that are perfect from beginning to end, and that film, cinematography, acting, story, ending, it's a perfect film.
That's fair. So for me, my favorite non-English speaking horror movie would be The Devil's Backbone.
I like that a lot too.
I thought it was fantastic. It's creepy, it's atmospheric, it was great all around.
I don't think it's the best of his movies.
No, but it's my favorite.
I'd probably take Chronos over it as far as non-English speaking. And that's another vampire movie, right? You could say it's a vampire movie.
That's fair enough.
Oh, okay, before I forget, we'll do documentary.
Okay.
So for me, like the worst, most disturbing documentaries, is there's one called Empire in Africa, which is about like the gangs and mining and stuff in Africa. It's really disturbing.
Yeah.
And I'm not going into like the faces of death or any of that sort of stuff. Just like
that's bullshit.
Yeah. The Last Just Man. Have you seen that one, Chuck?
The Last Just Man?
Yep.
What's that about?
So it's about Romeo, Delamore or something. He was the UN guy in Rwanda. It's a documentary about what happened in Rwanda, and it's super bad. They also like, I mean, stuff for me is like Hell House, Jesus Camp. But what's that one about the kids that dies? Oh my god, it's like super famous.
Dear Zachary?
Dear Zachary. Yes.
That's my pick.
Yeah.
Hands down.
Is a gut punch.
Look, every hair on my arms just stood up just even mentioning it, because the punch at the end of that's one of the most grueling things I've ever seen in my entire life.
I know people that refuse, like they would never rewatch it.
I've not
it's
seen
no
it.
joke.
But
it's true.
No, I know, but it's the way it's done too. It's almost done like kind of the way they reveal stuff as it goes through. It's just like this descent into. It can't get worse than this, right? I mean, and these people like they're. I swear to God, it's really funny. Like, it's not funny, but it's funny. Like, whenever I was watching it, like the guy that died, I'm like, he really looks like Jack Black. I'm like, if they're making a movie about this, Jack Black should play him. But it just gets worse and worse and worse. And
you don't think it can. You don't think it can get any worse, and it gets fucking worse.
I'll have to check it out. I have not seen that one yet.
I don't know if that's something like I've seen it probably 3 times.
Yeah.
But that's like an every now and again. And like the last time I watched it was with my ex-wife because she had heard so much about it. So like it was like, okay, I'll watch it again.
Right.
But it doesn't. And it's one of those things that like, like I've seen a Serbian film multiple times.
Right.
Yep.
So it gets a little easier because you know what's coming.
Right.
You know what I mean? But like, or Megan is missing, you know what's going to happen.
Right.
But Dear Zachary, you know it's coming and it still fucking hurts.
To me, like, I can watch any sort of movie, right? That's just like, okay, the actors do something, it might be disturbing. Then they break for lunch, right? And then they go and like go home or whatever, and then they come the next day, whatever. Documentary, history, whatever, or even movies that are based on real life stuff like The Girl Next Door is more effective just because that actually happened to somebody, right? Even if it's dramatized.
I love the Girl Next Door.
Jack Ketchum.
I mean, that's a horrible fucking thing to say that you love, but it's a very fucking well done film.
That's why I can say, like, I really like a Serbian film because there's a lot of elements I like in that movie. I think it's very well shot, made, directed. I think they try to push the envelope a little bit too far just for shock value. But I think that ending is just like mind blowing. But again, it's like fake. So like it doesn't bother me that much. But I can understand why it could bother people. I'm not saying that I'm right and wrong. Jim?
I don't watch a whole lot of documentaries, if I'm being perfectly honest. So I would have to say the one that bothered me the most would be, I mean, it's not horror, but the Matthew Shepard documentary was rough for me to get through. Especially given that it came out, well, I saw it a couple years after I came out. So it really hit me hard.
And that was the gay guy that got killed, right?
Yes, left on a fence. Yep.
Some horrific things that we do to each other.
Absolutely. And people are really the worst monsters, right? I mean, I can take a slasher or a monster movie all day. But what people actually do to each other in real life is the most horrifying thing ever to me.
Oh, you don't even know, Jim.
Oh, I don't?
I won't go down the rabbit hole of some of the stuff that I've been looking into. It's like just the worst. People are just the worst.
That's fair enough.
Okay. So, moving along to a happier subgenre.
Yep.
Revenge movies.
Revenge.
So my wife's was I Spit on Your Grave, the remake.
Okay.
Shane's was I Spit on Your Grave, the original. Danny's was The Perfection, which is
that is such a fantastic movie.
But for my pick, I don't think any country does revenge movies better than South Korea, and it's I Saw the Devil.
I mean, that's like the mother of revenge films. It's such a good fucking movie.
Yeah.
What's yours, Jim?
Oh God, that's gonna be rough. I love a good revenge movie because I hate weak characters. So it's probably not going to be considered horror, but Poppy was fantastic. If you want to talk about revenge movies.
Poppy?
With Jennifer Garner.
I've never seen it.
So her entire family gets murdered, and she takes revenge on the people. She literally trains for a year so that she can get revenge on the people that killed her family.
Interesting.
She goes hard in that movie.
Jennifer Garner.
Yeah.
I'm interested. It's hard to top. I'm not trying to top what he said, but I'm trying not to say the same thing that he said. But I saw The Devil. It would be my immediate answer for revenge films, because it's a fucking incredible film.
And you look at like South Korea is just like phenomenal. I mean, you have like Old Boy, Sympathy for the Devil. Like all of those ones are just so great, right? I mean, they really nail a lot of like, if you go out for revenge, dig 2 graves, right? Because you're gonna die too.
So I misquoted the title of that movie. It's called Peppermint, not Poppy.
Oh, I've seen Peppermint.
Yeah, it's Peppermint.
Yeah, I've seen Peppermint. Poppy didn't ring a bell for me. Yeah, no. Peppermint's good.
Yep. Jim was thinking about his heroin addiction.
There's been so many good revenge movies over the years.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw The Devil's definitely peak. I really like the movie Revenge. It's just called Revenge with the girl with the pink earrings. I think is a fantastic one. I think Kill List is a fantastic revenge film. I think that, I mean, obviously you got to do, you could throw Straw Dogs in there. You could do Last House on the Left in there. I mean, there's a lot of them, but none of them are better than I Saw the Devil.
Would you consider Becky a revenge movie?
Sort of.
Well, definitely Becky too, for sure. But
yeah.
So here's one little left field a little bit. Like you have to think a lot of martial arts movies are revenge movies, right? At heart, because you have to have the person who's
like Marked for Death, Steven Seagal,
right?
Art for Justice. In fact, I have that signed somewhere.
Art for Justice goes hard.
Oh, I love Art for Justice. But have you seen The Night Comes for Us?
No, what's that?
You need to look it up. It's a martial arts revenge movie, but it's more gory and bloody than 90% of horror movies, even like extreme horror movies.
Really?
Yep.
And what's the name of it again?
The Night Comes for Us.
And
it's all right. It's an excellent movie too, right? So it's not just like blood and gore.
So,
Harry Brown with Michael Caine's also a fucking great revenge movie.
Look at that one.
Cult. My wife said the Wicker Man remake. Shane said the Wicker Man remake. Danny said Midsummer, and mine is the original Wicker Man.
Great pick. I'll take Red State, Kevin Smith.
Yep. Oh, that was a fantastic film. That was a fantastic
film. I fucking love it. Yep.
I'm going to go with The Ritual because to me that's a cult movie.
Ritual, yeah. Also The Void. Have you seen The Void?
I love The Void's good.
I didn't care for that.
What's the Ty West one that is the only Ty West movie I like? That's on the Jim Jones one.
Oh, right.
The House of the Devil?
No, Ty West. It's like a found footage reenactment of Jim Jones.
Right. I've seen it.
Oh, The Sacrament.
The Sacrament.
The Sacrament.
Yes.
Yeah. It's very similar to Red State.
Yes.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Okay. Killer Toys / Dolls.
That's easy.
So my wife said The Bride of Chucky. Shane said Child's Play. Danny said Megan. And I'm going with Stuart Gordon's Dolls from 1986.
Why did you steal my answer, Mark?
That's a great pick. I'm going to take Magic.
Magic is fantastic. I did love that movie, but
I love Magic.
My favorite killer doll movie is Dolls.
Yep. Okay. Okay. This is another very wide genre, which I don't even know I wrote down. Psychological thriller. My wife said The Shining. Shane said Cube. Danny said Split. And I said 1408.
I love 1408.
Yeah, that's a good fantastic pick, film. It really is.
Jacob's Ladder.
Oh, yeah.
I'd have to go Serpent in the Rainbow. It's one of my favorites.
I love that too. I wish they would remake it.
Yeah, I agree.
Nothing worse
like Jordan Peele.
Balls nailed to a chair.
He could do a fantastic job. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Peele, but what he did with Nope was fantastic. I'd love to see
I think somebody like him. You need a visionary for a film like that.
Absolutely.
And they gave him The People Under the Stairs, so that gives me hope.
Oh, I hope he does a great job with that.
And again, The Serpent in the Rainbow is based on a true story.
Yep. What else, Mark?
Okay, so the next one is I don't know if I need to explain this, but interloper. So it's like whenever somebody comes in and invades somebody's hand, like the hand that rocks the cradle is my wife's pick. Case 39 was Shane's. Knock Knock was Danny's, and mine is The Guest. So somebody comes in and like the orphan, right? So it's like you think that they're nice and kind, but they're really have bad intentions.
Okay. I'm gonna take The Gift, Joel Edgerton.
That's good.
Okay. Yep.
I'm gonna go with the original Bad Seed.
Okay.
Bad Seed.
It's a great pick.
Yep.
So my last one, a witch movie. Shane said Witches with Angelica Houston. Johnny said Hansel and Gretel. I'm going for a little left field pick because it's a witch, but it's not. I'm going with Warlock. R.I.P. Julian.
It's a good movie. Yeah,
fucking Warlock is such a banger.
Yeah, agreed.
And you know what? And it's a shame because it got really overlooked because of the Prophecy movies that like came out at the same time, and it's such a gem. I'm going to go way more left field than that, and I think my favorite witch movie is a film called Hagazusa. And it's fucking fantastic. It's a very slow burn folk horror witch movie. It's not Italian, but it's subtitled. Have you ever seen what's the other one's called? There's another one similar to it called You Are Never Alone.
Yeah.
But Hagazusa is one of the most brutally, emotionally brutal witch movies I've ever seen in my life. It's phenomenal.
Another good one is Witching and Bitching.
Oh, shut up. That movie sucks. I'm going to go
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Witching and Bitching, Jim?
It's terrible. Yes, I have, Mark. I've seen Witching and Bitching. It's terrible.
So is it English or is it what? Where is it from?
I don't remember. But I hated the movie. I turned it off after like 30 minutes. It was awful. But for me, the perfect witch movie. Well, I don't know if technically she'd be considered a witch, but The Guardian from 1990.
A tree spirit. I don't know if she's
Dryads are a thing. I don't know if it's technically a witch, but I think it fits.
Okay.
Fair enough.
That's our witch movies, and that's when I run out of stuff to think about, and there's a billion other subgenres I could go into.
Okay.
Like
I love the fact that everybody has such a different opinion.
Yeah.
I'll give you a very specific one, just because I want to bring it up, which is the Stuck in One Place horror movie.
Yeah.
I love Stuck in One Place horror movies. Yeah.
So does
the one location films.
Yep.
Yes.
So to me, the most recent one, which really pushed my buttons because I don't like heights, is Fall.
I hated it. Sorry.
The other one that pushes my buttons is Open Water.
I love Open Water.
The first one was good.
Heights, and it's like being in the ocean, but there's like Buried and Frozen. Like I really like just people trying to figure out how to get out of like some situation. 48 meters, whatever.
Buried with Ryan Reynolds is so underrated.
Oh yeah,
I haven't seen it yet.
So
I need to because I'm a big fan of his.
And it's a very down ending too. Which
Fall just didn't do it for me because I thought the girl was annoying. Like I just wanted her to jump the entire time because she just really got if it would have been a different lady, it might have got me. It just didn't stick with me.
It wouldn't matter as long as you just have a camera up there and you're just looking down with people and their legs are dangling.
Because of the heights. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. A lot of them, which I don't like, they have to manufacture like drama, right? So like in Fall, etc. It's like, oh, you cheated with my boyfriend or whatever, and like
right.
Water. Like, I get it. You're trying to like pad a movie because it's just stuck in one place, but it's always
right.
Fair enough. Okay, so Chuck, you ready for some questions from your audience?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so first up is Blake to the Future. He wants to know, what is the scariest non-horror movie you've seen?
The scariest non-horror movie that I've ever seen?
Dear Zachary.
Probably. Probably. I mean, something like that. Dear Zachary, Zero Day. But since we used them already, I'm gonna say Take Shelter with Michael Shannon.
Okay.
Which terrified me because I think it's one of the best depictions of the spiral of mental illness ever put to film.
Right.
And that frightens me, just like
Bug.
Just like Alzheimer's fucking frightens me. You know, anything that could happen to you, that's so scary to me.
Right. Next up is from Lil Katie TV. She says, "Okay, movie guy, has there been a horror movie or any movie quote that has stuck with you?"
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty that stick with me. I mean, there's things like I just watched that Orozco the Embalmer
Mm-hmm.
documentary, and that will never leave my mind for the rest of my life.
Okay.
Because it's, not only was it the war-torn streets of Colombia and how those people have to live, it sticks with you and makes you grateful for the freedom that we have, but just to meet your demise in that way, it's a very, very, very frightening movie.
That's fair. What else? Okay, so next up is Veronica. She's got 2.5 questions, but I figured we'd give her a pass. What's the worst movie you've watched and why?
The worst movie?
So that was her question.
It's just like a shitty movie?
I mean, that's how I would take it, Veronica.
The movie I hate more than any other movie in the history of the world of movies that I think is the worst movie ever made that's way overhyped is Garden State.
Okay. And why do you think it's terrible?
Because I just can't stand Zach Braff's face, and I just don't like the movie. Like, I just can't fucking stand it.
That's fair.
Jim, what's your choice? Because you hate most movies, so
I don't hate most movies.
Yeah, you
But in an effort to save time, I'm just going to skip over your question, Mark. You like that little cop out? I'm really just not a fan of Rob Zombie. He would qualify just about, with the exception of House of a Thousand Corpses. Pretty much any movie he's made, I did not enjoy.
Fair enough. He's a very polarizing individual.
He is, and it's got nothing to do with his vision or his talent. It's just I don't like the subject matter in most of his films.
Fair enough.
So the next question for you, Chuck, from Veronica is: if you were trapped on an island, what 2 movies would you have with you, and what are you snacking on?
If I was trapped on an island, what 2 movies would I have, and what would I snack on?
Yep.
The first movie would be Paul Thomas Anderson's The Master, because I think it's one of the greatest films ever made, and I love it. It might be my favorite movie of all time.
Okay.
And that's a non-horror movie. But I love it. And then if I had to pick a horror movie that I wanted to have with me forever, would probably be the original Halloween.
Fair enough.
Or the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I'd have to flip a coin.
Okay, that's fair. I can see those. What about your snacks? What's your favorite snacks?
I mean, I'm on an island. I guess I got to kind of take what I can get.
Well, let's say you could bring something with you. What are you snacking on?
An unlimited amount of barbecued baby back ribs.
Okay, I'm good with that. I can see that.
Yeah.
Then the next question we have is from our Facebook group. Sarah wanted to know, what was the first movie you saw that gave you a visceral reaction that actually scared you?
It's Poltergeist or Halloween too. Because Poltergeist was with my mom. My mom was like psychologically abusive to us kids, so like that's how she like kept us good. But we also had a neighbor that babysat us, and when me and my sister weren't good, he would put on the hospital scene from Halloween 2. And that is forever stained in my brain, that every time I walk into a hospital, I'm 46 years old, and I go to the hospital and I think about Michael walking down the halls. Like it's never going away.
Yep. Absolutely. Mark, do you have any additional questions?
No.
Okay. Chuck, I want to say thank you so much for being with us today. I really appreciate it.
I love this.
Do you want to throw out like your handles and stuff so people can follow you on social media?
Chuck, I'd love to be your movie guy. My TikTok is at Charlie Napalm 2, or you could just go into the search bar and put in Chuck Movie Guy. I come right up. Also on Google. And my Instagram is your_movie guy. That can also be found through Google search under Chuck the Movie Guy. And I just wanted to say I'm really grateful for the opportunity to bullshit with you guys. I really, really enjoyed this, and especially because it's all polarizing opinions, and I'm a big fan of people that stick to their guns on their opinion, because most people you get into a conversation, they'll backpedal and be like, "Oh, I see what you mean, so I'm gonna just like your movie for the fuck of it." No, I ain't budging, and neither are you guys. So like, nothing but respect.
I appreciate that, and you're welcome back anytime you want to come back, because
anytime.
I love your content.
We really appreciate it, because most of the people that we have on are just like, I had a lot of fun, because again, we're not like professional. We just like to talk about movies and shit. Like, it doesn't fucking matter. Like, I might like something and you don't, and we'll talk about it. It's cool.
Yep.
Yeah, it's all good. And sometimes whenever you have like conflicting opinions, like I do a lot of reviews because I'll give my perspective, hoping that maybe if one person watches my review and says, "Oh, you know what? I never looked at that like that," maybe they can appreciate something I can appreciate with an open mind. So, I'm always willing to listen to what you have to say about something I don't like, because maybe I will appreciate it more. Like, I don't like Hereditary at all.
Right.
But I love why people love it, and I'm jealous that people love it. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Hereditary is a modern classic. Midsummer is trash.
I agree. I agree with the second half of your statement.
But that's the thing, though. There's no right or wrong, right? It's also
I bought tickets for in April 12th. I bought tickets for Hereditary in IMAX.
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going by myself. I'm going with an open mind, and I'm going to give it one more fucking shot.
Let's be honest. The big star of Hereditary was the telephone pole.
Was what?
That's on the telephone pole. That's all anybody talks about.
No. I think Hereditary does what a great horror movie does, and it builds up a mythology. And it has, like, the most uncomfortable part of Hereditary isn't like the horror part, right? It's the realistic part. It's that discussion over the dinner table.
Right.
That's the
grief.
That's just like, it's just like, that's horrific.
Because I agree with you 1,000%. Like, the grief, the what she was going through about her loss.
Yep.
I just think when they got to the end and they threw that shit in there, it just copped out. It copped out on what they built up, like, and it just fell flat for me.
I can understand that.
So, like, the King Payman thing and stuff, I guess, is a real life. Well, not real life, but it's a real mythology and stuff. And so they built in a lot of this decapitation and stuff, because that's part of it, and the male being the thing and whatever, which I didn't realize until afterwards. But that actually made the movie more enjoyable whenever I rewatched it. So sometimes you're used to, like, the devil's in the details, and sometimes you don't even realize about it. But
I get mad at myself because Hereditary is a film that was essentially made for the kind of movies that I like, because I like weird shit. Like, I liked Enos Men, and people fucking hate that movie. I liked Men. People hate that fucking movie.
Man.
You like The Greasy Strangler. People hate that movie.
Yeah, I loved it. I think Lamb is a fucking masterpiece, and people hate that fucking movie.
I've been looking to watch it because I keep hearing about it, and I've not been able to find it on streaming yet.
God bless you.
I want to check it out.
It's weirdo shit.
It sounds like it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Chuck. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. And we'll talk to you guys soon.
You're welcome anytime.
Thanks, Chuck.
Thank you.